Hey there guys, and welcome to another FPVguy video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Yuneec BREEZE. And this is a micro, it is really not a video drone for video geeks, it is a video drone for families and for people who just simply want a flying camera to document the weekend, the barbecue, or their vacation. So if that's what you're looking for, stay tuned and we're gonna get on with this. I'm Bo Lorenzen, the FPVguy, and I'm gonna be walking you through the BREEZE today. Now you obviously know, drones has become enormously big within the last year and a half, but this started many years ago. 6-10 years ago, we were flying bigger aircraft, and to have something that was flying and made reasonably good video was frankly miraculous. Nowadays, we can get really solid aircrafts like this one that can fly along at 45 miles an hour and can create rock-stable video of my car while I'm driving up to 45 miles an hour. That is amazing. It has a camera that just kind of like keeps going around. But on the downside, this is not going to fit in your overhead bin. And it's quite frankly not exactly what you would call travel friendly. It's not even super backpack friendly if you're going hiking with a couple of friends on this weekend, you know, and all you really wanted was a group selfie up in the mountains. So something like this is not friendly at all. That leaves us with a lot of other options, like this one here. This is a 210 size micro or mini FPV aircraft. It doesn't have GPS, and what that means is if you let go of the sticks, this thing's gonna crash. It also doesn't have particularly great video because it's a flight camera. It's not a video camera intended to take some video for Facebook, Instagram, or somewhere like that. So if you just want video with you and your friends, that's also not the ticket, but it's a cool little quad. However, let's look at the BREEZE. Now, that's how small the box it ships in is. It's really not super big. And the aircraft is much smaller. It's in a smaller box inside. Here's the aircraft. On the back side, we get a quick primer on it. It comes with, I think that's upside down. It has the pilot mode, it has selfie mode, it has orbit mode, journey, and follow me options. Now let's go right back to this. It does have a pilot mode if you want to fly manually and fully be in charge. However, the interesting thing is then they immediately jump to the selfie mode, and that's the one they recommend using. The orbit mode is you can pop it up in the air, push orbit, and it's gonna do a 360-degree of you or your group or your location. That's really cool. Journey mode is that you can plan the flight is gonna do out here, hang right, then a little more out. So you can plan on the tablet or your smartphone how the flight is gonna be. And the follow me, it basically uses the GPS signal to follow you. It actually has two follow me modes. The one is GPS follow me, where it's gonna follow your phone's GPS signal. Now keep in mind, it can't see and it can't think. So if you walk under a bridge, this might fly into the bridge. Now the other follow me mode is where it looks at you. So you define on the screen where you are, and as you move, it's gonna keep you in the image, but it's not flying anywhere. It's just staying where it is and looking at you. So if you're making a presentation and want the camera to like look at you, that's the ticket. So it has all these modes that's designed specifically for selfies for the internet. Let's get into the box. Okay, it opens kind of slowly. There we go, we're inside. And inside here, what you find is the usual disclaimer, don't send it back to the dealer. And more importantly, here is the knowbeforeyoufly.org insert. That basically means in the US, there is restrictions on where and how you can fly. Again, that is knowbeforeyoufly.org. Let's get into the box. Here is the box with the aircraft itself, and over here, as you can see, there is the accessories. I think we should just pop the box out real quickly and then go to the accessories. This is the aircraft box. I'm gonna empty the accessories out and then I'm gonna come back to this. Now what you find in the accessory corner here is the bigger box contains a whole bunch of little flyers. I'm just gonna take a quick look at that. Here is basically the manual and the quick start guide. Now over here is this teeny little box. Inside the box you find a complete set of propellers. Look at this. Here is a complete set of propellers, so you can basically break all your propellers and put more propellers on and be flying. As you know, I'm a big proponent of everything should ship with a second set of propellers. So thumbs up to Yuneec. They have taken care of us, and there is spare propellers in the kit. Put that over here. Then it comes the big accessory box right here. And I'm just gonna crack it open. I like these little pull tabs they made, so it's easier to get them out. Let's try to get this thing open. Okay, and in here we find the charger. Right there is the charger and also a USB cable. Look at that, that is, let's get the rest out of here. There we go. So the other thing we got was a white cable for the charger. This one has 110, and if you buy it in other parts of the world, it will of course come with a cable that fits the charger and your local wall outlet. You plug that in here and you're basically ready to go. That's all there's to it. Alrighty then, let's get into the aircraft box itself. Look at how small this thing is. This fits right inside my hands. And the interesting thing is the aircraft will actually pack smaller than this. Now, to open it up, right here it says push. What I find, and that's just me, is I just kind of hook my thumb in and I just turn it this way and actually pull out on the edge instead of pushing. Works exactly the same way. Now when we open it up, inside here, in the lid we find some do's and do not do's. It says to keep the lenses clean. Do not fly without propeller protectors indoor, and make sure to disable the GPS when you are flying indoor. Now this is all good suggestions. Now the first thing we find in the box here is some propeller protectors. These things are basically snap-on. They're incredibly easy to use. Use them whenever you fly indoors, and also if you're flying around people, because you never want propellers and people to mix. So that's the protectors. On the other side over here we find a spare battery. These are 3S batteries with 1150 milliamps that amazingly managed to give you 12 minutes of flight time. Let me give you a closer look at it right here. You can see the imprint right in here with the capacity. Up here we have the release switch. You push it down and it does like that. And you push around here and that's what it looks like. In here we have a total of 4 pins. The one is sideways so that you cannot accidentally insert it incorrectly. Of course, with the charger design being the way it is, you couldn't insert it incorrectly regardless, because the battery only goes in one way here. Simply slide it in and push it in, and there you go, now you're charging. One of the things that surprised me is this charger is a lot faster than other chargers I have seen for micro drones, and it actually seems like it's charging this battery up in about 20 minutes routinely. So I'm very happy with the charger. Now the one thing I'm not so keen on is this long cable, and I'm actually using these things which I've been buying and putting on all my chargers lately. They're just a 90-degree wall plug. I put them in here. And these things are just so much less to travel with because I don't need to travel with a full cable. So there you have it, that's the little charger. I like how compact this is. I do wish they would have made me a 12-volt option, but it doesn't really matter because I already have an inverter in the car, so no big deal. Let's get rid of the box for now. Alrighty then, here is the aircraft itself. Up here on the front we have the movable camera. You can change the camera angle from the app and it basically will turn it downwards, and you can move it by your finger. It's geared like a servo. I don't recommend doing it really. Over here on the arm is one of the motors, and you can clearly see how the propellers are folding. They come out like this, and here's a full set of propellers. In case you do bust a propeller, I already have, and this thing actually crashed surprisingly well. What you need to do is get a very small flat screwdriver, and you can pop out the foam or plastic top here, and that will get you to the 2 screws. You're gonna need a small hex wrench to unscrew the screws. Oh, and by the way, Yuneec included spare screws. If you're clumsy like me, you're likely to drop a screw. So there's extra screws in the kit. I do like that kind of consideration. Now these folds up really nicely, and the folding up things is what makes this really easy to travel with. Put this on my hand and you can see how small this is. I have been playing with it because I want to travel without the case, so I played with a little 3D print here that basically snaps on and holds the propellers, and now I can throw it in my backpack without the case while protecting the propellers. That's a snap-on thing. I'm still playing with that, but I want it to be even easier to travel with, but this is still easy. Now up here you have the power button on the tail, and up on the top you have the battery release. You just pull out and you push it in and it goes click and you're connected. Now underneath here on the bottom is some new technology we haven't seen before, because if you look closely here, we're used to seeing an ultrasonic altitude control, but instead inside here we see 2 little lenses. They're actually using an optically based altitude control to manage your height over the ground instead of the ultrasonic system. Now down here we see technology we have seen before. This is the visual flow camera that looks down at the ground, and the camera basically sees texture on the ground, and it will keep the aircraft oriented according to the texture on the ground. The advantage of these visual flow and the visual or optical altitude control is you can fly indoor where there is no GPS signal. So this aircraft can be used inside or outside. It also helps when you're landing because GPS has a little bit of float to it. When you come down and land, the little sensor here, the little camera, will make sure you don't slide around, and also when you take off, it will keep it very nicely controlled. Now the last thing to take a look at is the little legs here. You have a little folding leg on each arm. Notice how these comes out, just like that. And there's actually inside, there's essentially a patch antenna for Wi-Fi. So the little legs should be down when you're flying, because that will get you better range vertically out. So if you want to go pretty far out, make sure the legs are down, you're gonna get better range. Now if you're not going very far, I've actually been flying with the legs collapsed and I've had no problems at all. There's much better range on this thing than I expected. Now the bottom line about the Breeze's actual range is very simple. This is a Wi-Fi based aircraft. It's not meant with a controller. It is something that's meant to be flown literally with your phone or your tablet or your Android phone. Any kind of phone or smart tablet or smartphone will fly the Breeze. So with that in mind, you're obviously limited. You're not gonna go any further than your Wi-Fi signal can reach. I haven't found out how far it goes yet. I'm sure I'm gonna figure out. Now the important thing is, if you fly out of range, it's gonna come back by itself. Or if your phone gets disconnected, it's gonna do a return to home and land. This is really important because if you're flying somewhere, let's say over a pond or a lake, and you're doing this selfie, and of course you lose signal by the time you're all the way out there over the water, it's not gonna land. It's gonna come back to you and land where it started. So that's a really important detail. Now talk about signal handling. Remember a couple of weeks ago, I reviewed and unboxed the Zero Tech Dobie drone. Super cool little drone that fits in my jeans. I really like it, but there is a couple of problems. One of the big ones for me is that when it runs out of signal, when it loses signal, it just lands where it is instead of coming home. And that's not very practical if you were flying over water or something. Now the other thing that they did is they have a hard-mounted camera up here. It's firmly mounted in here, whereas this one here, if you look at what I'm doing, you can see how it's floating in rubber. The advantage of that is you get much less jello in the video. And I tried both of them. I found the Breeze video had more clarity to it. As far as I'm concerned, that is a huge upside when it comes to making video for my friends on the internet. There's a ton of things we can talk about with this. I'm gonna test fire this thing. So if you guys will kind of like back off from the screen a little bit, let's fire it up. Now to start it, we're gonna push the button down the bottom here. And we got blinking lights, so that's all good. Now with that blinking, we're gonna grab the tablet and we're gonna find the settings. So here's our settings, and we're gonna go to Wi-Fi. And then we're gonna look here, and here's the Breeze. So I'm gonna tap on the Breeze. And I've flown this several times, so it's already logged in. The app is called the Breeze Cam, and you can see it right here. So I'm just gonna tap on that. To move on, we're gonna press next. And here we go. On the right side of the screen, you can see the gallery. If I press gallery, we can see the videos I've been shooting so far with this aircraft. Going up here in the corner, top left, there's a back, and then it says tasks over here. So I'm just gonna click on tasks, and since I'm gonna fly this indoor, I'm gonna go ahead and use the pilot mode. Now, there is no GPS right now, so in order to fly indoor without GPS, I'm gonna click in the upper left-hand corner, and I'm gonna move that to the gray, so now it's flying without GPS, and up here, the GPS setting says NA for not available. What it did was it put a cross over selfie, orbit, journey, and follow me. The reason for that, of course, is since it doesn't know where it is, there's no way it can start making a circle around somewhere it doesn't know where it is. So flying indoor, like we are right now, we can only use the pilot mode. Clicking on pilot mode, I'm gonna slide right to get in. The first time you do this, when you click on the pilot mode, it's gonna walk you through a whole bunch of screens to explain to you how it works. Unfortunately, I can't start recording video until we're flying, so you can't actually see the quality of the video until we get in the air. However, if you look at me right now, and you can kind of see, I'm gonna put this so you can see the same image, you can kind of see how I'm rolling the shot, but you can notice my face is not actually, the image is not rolling. That's because there is image stabilization built into the aircraft. And it has some limitations, but it worked quite well. Now, it also takes JPEGs up to about 12 megapixels. You can record raw 4K video unstabilized, but by default, it's set up to record 30 frames per second, 1080p stabilized video. Now, they don't lock it down, you know, like as in rock solid. They deliberately left it a little bit organic, so when the aircraft moved, you're gonna see a little bit of movement in the video, but not a whole lot. Now remember, I mentioned the optical flow camera underneath that looks down and looks for something. And if you look over here to the left on my table, you'll see that I decorated with my favorite orange. It's a very fashionable gaff tape color. Orange, gaffer's tape. If you don't wear orange, wait, that's for prisoners, isn't it? Never mind. So, we've decorated with orange, and notice how I put a whole bunch of little dots in here. All of these dots are so that the camera down here has something to see. And to be quite honest with you, I really don't want this to get out of control in here because it's gonna start knocking over lights. So we're gonna move it over here, and we're gonna make sure the camera can see some of these little dots. So I'm placing it right on top of the dot here. Then we're taking our tablet. I'm gonna press take off. Now it's gonna ask me to confirm, to slide right. Well, that went well so far. I'm gonna try to lower it a bit. That went pretty well. It's flying. To record some video, what I have to do is press camera, and then I simply click on the red button, and now you will see it is recording. To go back and control it, what I have to do is click in the corner here, and now I can control it again. Like that, and it is still flying. And I'm gonna try to turn this around a little bit. Now I'm trying very much to keep this right over my little dots. because I really don't want it to start moving around in here. And we're gonna go, there's a lot of air moving around in here, so I'm gonna go ahead and land again. I just pushed the landing, and it landed. Now I did hurry up and land because, to be honest with you, I was getting a bit nervous flying this thing in here. The reason is there's a ton of air moving around, and the breeze was literally pushing the aircraft back and forth next to me here. So I didn't want it to fly off the table, and the reason for that is if it flies off the table, the altitude is gonna make it drop down, because the altitude sensor does not have GPS, so it doesn't understand where it is. All it knows is it looks like I flew too high. So if you fly off, it's gonna drop down and stay at the same height I put it at, but wherever it is now. So if you fly over your couch using the system, it's gonna fly up and follow the shape of the couch, literally. All right, let's get out of this and see how our video is doing. Oh, by the way, up here in the corner, you can see it now says 49% battery. That's because this battery was not full when I started out. So let's go ahead and click back out. That is the arrow key here. And we're gonna go home, and we're gonna go to gallery. And right here in the gallery, you'll see now there's a new video. That's from our little flight right now. So right here is the video, and if I click download, I can get the original file or I can get a compressed file. I'm just gonna download the original file. So it's starting to download right here, and it's gonna take a minute or two to download. You can see the downloading arrow right here. It is downloading a little bit slowly. It's coming from here, and the Breeze comes with its own internal memory. So you need to download the video. You can use a USB cable to your computer, or you can download to your smartphone. Frankly, I have been downloading to my phone and my iPad, and I have never bothered with the USB cable. There you go. Our video is downloaded. I'm just gonna click on play now. And now you can see it's playing. You can see how stable it is, and it's kind of moving. If I strut forward a little bit, let's see where it's turning. And you can see how stable the shot of me is. You can of course see the aircraft is moving a bit, but overall the shot is really stable. And there it landed. Now this video cannot cover some of the features because there's no GPS in here, and the GPS system on this aircraft is really a feature in its own right. They put a great GPS on top, and you'll see it when you use it outside because it acquires signal very quickly. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make a follow-up video because I need to demonstrate for you guys the selfie mode, the orbit mode, the journey mode, which I call cable cam, and also the follow me mode. So there's 4 modes that we could not demonstrate indoor without GPS. So stay tuned for that video. I'm gonna get that up to you here the next week. The other thing that's really slick about this is how finished it is. Everything was built super nicely. It's very finished. It does not look like a cheap design anywhere. It has a good camera, and it also has been well thought out how you're actually gonna travel with these components. So there you have it, guys. That's my quick walkthrough of the new Yuneec BREEZE. What's so amazing about it is how much they focus specifically to make this a smartphone aircraft. This was made specifically for consumers wanting video of their kids, wanting video for Instagram, for YouTube, for Facebook. It is meant to be used with your phone, so you don't have to travel with a controller that would be the same size as this aircraft already is. You already got a phone, so you don't need anything else to operate this aircraft. The aircraft flies for about 12 minutes on a charge. I would say don't count on anything more than 10, because I somehow always manage to spend all my battery flying too fast or something. It takes 1080p stabilized video, 12 megapixel stills, or you could get unstabilized 4K video out of it. However, it was not meant to do 4K video. The real goal here is, and the standard setting is 1080p video. You can also set it down to do only 720 if that will do you for your internet use. Now, like I said, I've got another video in the works for you right now showing all the GPS modes. So make sure you click subscribe and stay tuned for more videos. I've also got more Yuneec product videos coming up over the next week and a half here, so subscribe and stay tuned, and we'll take some more close looks at Yuneec products in the very near future.